Craig, thank you for coming onto the show. I've been looking forward to having a chat with you since this came up. So thank you very much for giving me some time today.
Absolute pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
And I know you've been really busy because you're a busy guy. And I know you've been doing the rounds with A Violent Man. I talked to Ross.
It's all part and parcel of that. You do a film, and it's such an integral part of a film's release is doing these interviews.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do them, then people don't really get to know about them. So I've always found it very important. When I was a young actor growing up, the PR people used to say, "Oh, you're such a joy to work with." I was saying, no. This is important. It's so important. But sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I talked to Ross McCall, obviously, who wrote and directed that the other day.
Yeah.
And so, of course, from that, I was watching lots of interviews and I saw you doing the rounds with it. I mean, what's it like these days, being on like this on Zoom to how it was back in the day when you started and doing the press junket?
Well, I mean, usually you go to an hotel, you have to get the train up, or they'd send you a car, but then you think, I don't really want to sit in a car for an hour, the traffic. So I'd usually jump in a cab, you'd go to a really nice plush hotel, and then you'd sit in a room all day, spitting out the same, like a broken record, basically, and trying, and you'd work it around, because you do meet some really people along the way that are really into the film. So they don't come up with just homogenized questions, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Some of them ask you really great questions. And you think, oh, God, I'm really glad you asked me that. So to answer your question and not go on about it, in a way, it's nice to do this because you ain't got to leave home. You just turn your computer on.
Yeah.
But it's like actors now, self-tape. The auditions and the nerves of meeting, and I still can't audition. I hate it. And you go up for stuff, and you'd go and you'd meet and you'd rehearse and you'd stand there. You do what you got to do. You knock on the door, you go in, and sometimes there'll be one person, two person, five people. It's now with the self tapes, you do it yourself. You try and get it as best you can.
What was one of the most nerve-wracking?
I digress. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Let's go off on tangents anyway. I'm fine with it. I was just going to ask, what was one of the most nerve-wracking auditions that you've had? When you think of auditions? Was that
thousands? I've had 1,000 no's. So when you get a yes, it's really nice. Growing up, I think the worst auditions for me were in LA, because when you're there and you're there for a specific time, and if you're lucky enough to get signed by a manager or an agent, then they go out of their way to push you and get you in rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be auditioning every day. You could be auditioning 3 times a week, and you've got to go in there on top of the material, and it's nerve-wracking. I hate it, but it's the game we're in.
That's it. And there's so many actors.
You do your best, and you're hoping that they recognise an element of something they want.
Well, you've done all right up to now. You've done all right up to now, Craig. That's for sure. And
thank you. Trying, mate.
Oh,
trying.
Well, regular listeners to the show, they would not forgive me if I didn't start off by asking about one particular film to begin before we get into The Sun Also Rises. And I had Caroline Goodall on the show just over a year ago, and I had to ask her about the same thing. And so Cliffhanger, she came out with some great stories about that. And you're so good in it. I rewatched it again the other day.
I don't know.
Oh no!
If someone gave me a wish, I'd go, I want to go back now, rewind time, and I want to reshoot all of my scenes.
What would you do differently? Is there anything specific you'd do?
Yeah, I mean, my delivery and everything about it would be a lot different. I was so eager, so young, so excited, so passionate, so excited. I was like a dog with 2 cocks. I was like I was running around. I was in Italy for 6 months. It was an incredible dream come true. It was a huge audition process. I think I had 3 separate auditions for the film. I was a massive Stallone fan, massive Rennie Harlin fan, and to be, when they came through with the offer for that film, it was just, I'm still not over it now, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's the biggest thing I've ever done. And it was just a beautiful experience, being in Italy and being on a giant $100 million movie. It was just, it was a big deal. You know, you got everything at your beck and call. The great big trailers, the drivers, the this, the that. It was an insight into how the big Hollywood movies get made. You know.
Did you have any input into the lines, you know, like the football or soccer, as you had to refer to it in the movie?
No.
You had to go.
I had no fucking input at all on the big body. I'm a young actor, been flown over from, I just finished Prime Suspect, got off the plane. You know, I just gave it stum, say nothing, can't believe I'm here. I'm waiting for someone to come up to me and go, listen, we've made a massive mistake. It's an airline ticket. Fuck off back home. that was going through my mind for so many days. And I must admit, I must have had a million messages from people who go to me, I can't believe you said soccer. Listen to me. I'd have said dog shit if Stallone would have said say dog. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He's the man writing the script. And you know, on a film like that, you're constantly getting pages under your door at night where things are changing. So they're writing as they're going, even though they had the script, but they would just change things. And some of that changed, you know. And I would never question it. It's not my place to question it. I'm lucky to be there, you know. Yeah, they called it soccer, we called it football. Their football, it all gets muddled up. So
I do love your energy in that though, because you're so angry in it and shouting, and I love actors. Specific actors when they get angry as well, and I love the angry character in that. But compare that to, because whenever I think of like hard men in film, or even in real life, I always default to the East End London hard man who doesn't have to shout. It's like quiet and just you know that really sort of whispery. Oh, that voice that doesn't need
well, that's
to
what
shout.
I'm saying to you. That is why it took me so long to find a rhythm to my acting, and you know, with characters that you know I could make believable and authentic. And just for people to, you know, when people stop me in the street or message me and they go, "Oh, Craig, you're so good at what," you know, it's lovely to hear that finally you got it right. You know, the tone right, the believability right. And that is what I really care about. It's the fact of, you know, with the Foot Soldier films, you know, the Pat Tate stuff, that was a real fine line of getting that, you know, believable, making it natural and making it real, as opposed to just shouting and screaming, you know, because you watch that and I don't really buy that when I watch that, you know. I think you invest more in sort of men characters who are very sort of together. Yeah.
What do you think it is about the East End hard man that just travels all over the world that's intimidating? You know,
well, it's funny you're saying that. It does. It's, you know, recently I've been offered I've had quite a few people come to me saying, "We'd love to see you do like a Get Carter type movie." You know, and I was like, yeah, it's a really interesting concept because I love the film. And, you know, a few little scripts are creeping through, and I don't know, it's something about London. But you can say that about Scotland, you can say that about Ireland. I think if you get the actor right and you get the script right and, you know, the delivery's right, you can make a good film. Yeah. You know, if they're believable, them characters from that world.
I'd love to see you in more horror films, in more horror and sci-fi films. I really would, Craig. I would.
You know, I've got a little soft spot for horror films. You know, I grew up on the Hammer movies.
Oh yeah.
So I love all them. I still watch them now. Because I remember as a kid watching Oliver Reed, and I've had so many people say to me when I was growing up, "I'd love to see you play Bill Sykes." And I said, you know, that's one of my little. If they ever did that, a different version, I'd love to play him. But I'd also love to play the Wolfman.
Oh, yeah.
This is candidly between me. I know everyone's going to see that, but it was only because I was obsessed with horror films. I was a kid.
Yeah.
Especially werewolves and stuff like that, you know.
That would be your go-to, would it? If you could do a horror movie, it would be a werewolf one.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you've done horror movies in the past. I mean,
I have, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got to ask as well
Some
because
good, some bad.
well, this is
Mostly
it though.
bad.
I mean, no actor in the world can say that every film they've ever done is amazing. You never go into nobody to do with a film ever goes into it wanting to make a bad movie. Obviously, I always hold
No,
my
cool.
hand up and say, well done for putting a film out there. It's it's a
Mm.
hell of a feat in the first place. But there's some. I mean, I don't know what you think of this, but a good friend of mine, Rob, once he knew that I was going to have a chat with you, he mentioned a film that one of his favourites of yours, and I love it as well. And this is going back a little bit. Proteus,
Yeah.
a lower budget horror film. He said, "Oh, you've got to ask Craig about Proteus."
Yeah.
So, what are your memories from being on that? Because that's one that comes out quite often.
I'm very excited about doing that film at the time because I'd came back from LA, I'd gone out there, nicked Cliffhanger, did a couple of other little bits and pieces, but everyone was trying to position me as this new action guy coming through.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the gym 24/7 doing what I could. The scripts are coming along, but what was missing, really deep down, what was missing was the thing that comes with age, and that is experience and confidence in being an actor. The delivery, just getting the level of performance right. And I do think that comes with time.
Definitely.
And I just said, confidence. I was a young, excitable kid then. Everything was not right then. I'm much more since Muscle and, Foot Soldier, Villain. I've sort of got into a groove now where, the reviews have been solid.
Yeah.
And the career has took a different path, and you can play these characters, these guys who've got a bit of weight about them, but they're also quite vulnerable, quite interesting, got a bit of heart. And that's what I sort of look for in scripts now.
Well, your role as Terry in Muscle really did bring that out. That there's a lot more going on there, and showing those emotions and bringing them out and putting them on the screen.
Well, I've more so for Gerard Johnson, who offered me that role, who was a great believer in me. I met him and he said, you're very underrated. He said, I look at you and I look at other actors, who are doing it, and you're good at what you do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wonder if I'm going to get a chance to. I wonder if will I get the finance to do the film, and will I actually get a chance to do this film? To show. People talk about my range and that. My emotional range is huge. My playing 4'5", professors and school teachers, maybe not, which I'll be hands up to. But what Terry gave me a chance to do to show emotional range as an actor, and complexities and insecurities and all of that stuff. So that gave me an opportunity, which I jumped on, and working with Gerard and Kevin, who is a phenomenal actor, working opposite someone like him only brings the best out of you.
Yeah.
So that was an opportunity. That was a film. It's for a very acquired audience. It's a sophisticated, highbrow art house movie that is a beautiful film.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of that film. I can't tell you. That was the film that switched the light on for me. That was the film. When the BFI and the Guardian and all of the critical, respected reviewers dug me out and went, Fairbrass is excellent in this. Mm-hmm. It's what you. So, it's nice to hear.
Yeah.
That somehow along the way, the little craft that you're doing gets a bit of appreciation now and again.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting slaughtered,
But like you said, though, that's come with age and experience, hasn't it? You've built on your craft over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing that you've learned as you got older as an actor, that you go into a part, be it if you're looking at a script or when you actually get onto the set?
You know what? I know exactly what it is. It's thinking and listening.
Yeah.
And allowing the camera to see you think. That when I was young, I was very much, taking a breath and, thinking and doing, be able to. On film, you can do that. On television, it's a different. If you're, working in a soap and everything's quick, 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 you've got to deliver your
Yeah,
lines and the
yeah,
story moves on and it's the next scene.
yeah,
But with film, especially if you're number one on a call sheet and you're the lead in a movie, then you've got a chance. You've gone away and you've done your homework. So you've got to bring something.
yeah.
You want to turn up and you've got to make that character believable the best you possibly can. So yeah, listening and thinking, definitely.
Was there a lot of pressure on you back in the day? You were saying about pushing as an action star. The studio was doing this. Was there a lot of pressure on you? Like you said, you were hitting the gym a lot to keep that physique. I mean, because you were like cut from stone.
Well, you say that, but I'm 6'3", I'm 16.5 stone. I've always been a naturally big fella. And for me, diet was a massive thing because I'm naturally a fat bastard. So the carbs and the sugars I had to stay away from. As soon as I dropped them out, it would change. And I learned that early doors back in the day. But it's, I was doing little indie films. I was pleased to be doing them.
Yeah.
But I knew they would sort of lead on to other things. But it just takes time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time.
And I know growing up, because I said it before we started recording the show, there's only a year difference in age between us. And we've got similar pop culture references, grew up with the same. And I know you were a fan, movie-wise, of what you'd call, the Man's Man, the Charlton Heston, the Charlie Bronson.
Bronson's, Kirk Douglas's, John Wayne's, Burt Lancaster's,
definitely.
Lee Marvin's, all of them people I'm still obsessed with now. Still obsessed. I'm on YouTube all the time watching their biographies. That was a time when, and all of these guys were all ex-military, they were soldiers, they all came from different backgrounds. But the one thing they all had in common is they were men.
Yeah.
It's like you look at Connery, you go, he's a man. That's a man. He looks like a geezer.
Yeah.
He's believable in them situations. And they all were, So, I was a kid growing up with my dad, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to emulate them. I wanted to be in them scenarios and lucky enough, I grew up. I ended up being a tall, big fella, and I've got more character as I've got older in my face. Mm-hmm. So, you sort of become more believable in that role the older you get. I think that's a great thing about men.
Yeah, it is.
The older
definitely.
you get, the better you get.
Yeah. What's it like for you then to now be considered by the likes of me, the same age and younger, who I know now, you're like the British version of them. You're the Man's Man on screen that we watch. You're the one you'll see Craig Fairbrass in the film and you'll watch it because your name's in it.
Yeah, it is amazing. I've got to be honest with you, and I'm not going to lie, because I've had literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of messages. I'm going to say that and the appreciation is absolutely, it's beautiful, because I love it that people appreciate a good film. Because I appreciate a good film. In my younger days, you do anything as an actor because you want to work. You want to get paid and there's money in the game.
Yeah.
But to actually, when I look at Muscle, when I look at Villain, and I look at A Violent Man, and I look at some of the foot soldier films I've done, they're good. And the fans love it.
Oh, yeah.
They love it.
Yeah.
And I think the more believable you are and the more they love you as an actor and believe you're acting, they invest in you and they tell you. Mm-hmm. That you're along with a lot of other British actors, you're up there with, I love the films you do.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted to confuse, especially now what I'm doing is the fact of, getting the right scripts, getting the right stories, letting people know what you do. Because it's a very competitive business.
Yeah.
There's millions of actors. So I've never been afraid of being pigeonholed or typecast, because it's hard enough it is to get a living in this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's lovely.
What was it about The Sun Also Rises then? Because that's not out yet. I haven't seen it. So please tell me about the film.
Sun Also Rises is a beautiful script. It's an opportunity to shine the light on domestic violence, domestic abuse, that went through the roof in the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's a good little script. I've got a nice little role in it. I play Frank's brother Lee, who's from a different background. And Roland Manukian, who I love. He's a very, very dear friend of mine. I've got a lot of respect for him. We've done 9 films together. And he's my mate. And he went to me, listen, I've got this little script. There's a role in there. And I read it. And I said, well, I'm actually glad you offered me this, because if you'd give it to anybody else, it'd have been ag. And he was like, no, you're the first person I thought of. And I jumped at the chance. And I think, all his pals have all done what they could to jump on this, because it was a great script.
Yeah.
B, Roland was doing it. And it's a really great subject matter. I mean, Jeff Bell's done a bit, young Callum McNabb, and, proper actors. Yeah, I'm interested to see. I spoke to Roland briefly. He's really happy with the film.
Good.
It's a tragic tale. It's like an urban film on, about domestic abuse. Simple as that. It's a hard-hitting little film.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching
what I got from the script.
Yeah, yeah.
So I jumped at the chance to be in it.
And it was like with Ross, with A Violent Man. It was his first time as director. It was the same with Roland on this as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
Roland did a lot of work on the script. He went away and rewrote quite a lot of stuff. I was going backwards and forward with bits when we was looking at my scenes. But he was really on it. And he was very, very on it. He really put me through the ringer. I've got to be honest with you. I said, for his fucking mates. He was like, I want another one. I'm doing another take. I want you to do this. I'm like, but he was right and I was wrong.
Yeah.
So from our little scenes, quite an integral part of the story, quite emotional stuff. And I went there sort of with an idea in my mind, and then Roland took it to the next level, which when I came away, I was driving home and I thought to myself, I was really happy that he actually made those decisions on the floor, and we spoke about it with the different takes and, different energies and emotional, where you're coming from, what you're doing. And a lot of it was in the writing anyway, because it was quite a big deal. I lost my dad in 2013, and it was a massive, massive blow. I still think about it every day.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of using that type of stuff when you're acting, I used it when I was doing the last scene in Villain, in the cafe with Azuka Hoyle. Sometimes you have to pull on things. You try and get there, but then the mind has to drift to something that's really affected you to get you in that sort of mindset. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that is, again, just one of the maybe few, maybe many advantages of getting older. Those experiences that you can pull on, good and bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's got to be tough though, when you're going through stuff like that, and you've got to pull on those raw emotions that it's going to upset you.
Yeah.
And you've still got to deliver the lines and stay in character as well. So, you're working on different levels.
No, you're 100% right. But what it can actually do is get you to that place that's within the writing of the story to actually make it bona fide real.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, it's about, that suppressing it and it's difficult stuff to do, but if you can get it right, it can be very powerful.
Yeah.
And like I was saying to you earlier on, the messages I've had from people who said to me, I was so upset when I watched the end of Villain. Oh God, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I was so upset. But I'm glad. I'm sitting there reading these things, I'm glad. That it's made you feel that way, because it's worked.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not easy to move somebody.
Yeah.
On film, because it's so easy to overdo it.
Oh yeah, I should imagine
You know,
so. Yeah. And then it just doesn't work at all. It is a really fine line, isn't it? You can either overdo it or
yeah,
you
you
can go
see
either
sometimes
way.
you see the endless tier stick and the technical side of things, but if you can get there without that, um, which is it is difficult, but if you can get there without it, it is so much more powerful.
But it's really
Because
good.
the camera picks up everything,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
every little
You can't
nuance.
escape, can you?
Yeah, to tiniest of things. Um, I did an audition the other day, right, to get there, doing that, and I did it again, and I was really happy with it. It's like, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's amazing. I love it that we're here in 2022. You've got, A Violent Man has just come out. The Sun Also Rises is coming out. What's the rest of 2022 and beyond looking like for you, Craig?
Sitting here now, I'm just negotiating. I've just had an offer on a massive big TV series, which just working out the deal now. So yeah, back to some television. So
That's. I mean, in this day,
abroad,
with the
abroad for a
streaming
while.
services and everything, TV now is really with Alexa,
Oh, it's
Netflix, and
massive.
Amazon, and TV shows are really big, aren't they?
Yeah, it's massive, and that's actually been the plan. I signed with new agents a while ago, and the plan has been to still carry on with the films, but
Yeah.
not ignore the television side of things because it's humongous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can't talk about it, but it's once it's all put to bed, and then I can, fingers crossed. I'm always superstitious about things. Then
Yeah, I don't blame you. Oh,
yeah,
I'm so
you have to
glad.
be this time.
I'm so glad you're keeping busy, Craig. I really am. Because, like I said,
Yeah,
me and millions of others, we'll watch something because it's got Craig Fairbrass on
Craig
the credits.
Fairbrass.
Fairbrass, see,
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny. When I was young, I was going to change my name, and I did this film for Queen and Country, and George Baker, bless him, was a lovely, lovely human being. He said to me, "You're 27. You've got something about you. You're not a bad little actor. Let me introduce you to my agent, International Creative Management." And I went and met them, and they went, "Yeah, we've seen some rushes from the film. We think you've got something. We don't like your name." I was like, right, what do we do? Is it Craig Monroe? Um, so ended up changing it to Craig Mitchell for about a fortnight. I think I went to the first meeting, rang on the bell, and went, "Is Craig Mitchell here?" It just didn't feel right.
yeah,
And I went back to him. I said, "Listen, I know what you're saying, but my mum and my dad and my nan would go mental if I cracked it with another name.
yeah.
So I can't live with that just in case." So, you know, it worked out.
Good. I'm glad it did, as are loads of other people. Well, I'm aware of the time. I know you're really busy, Craig. I'd love to, at some point in the future, have you back on the show and chat some more about stuff you've done, the projects that you've got going forward in 2022 and beyond. So it'd be awesome to have you back.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to.
But for the sake of the edit, we shall say goodbye. And again, thank you for giving me your time, and all the best to you for the rest of the year and beyond.
That's very kind, mate. Thank you for some really interesting questions. Look after yourself. Stay safe.